So for number 9, they didn't tell you how many people, I think it was hockey and netball. Hey? They didn't tell you how many girls played both sports. And you have to always fill in the intersection part, the overlapping part first before you can fill in the rest. So that's why I suggested, remember I just did it like on a piece of paper and I put it on the camera. That's why I suggested that you make the and part equal to x, right? Because we don't know what that is. We don't know how many people they both sports. So if they then are telling you that 24 girls played hockey, but you have an X there, the whole circle needs to be 24. So you then have to put a 24 minus X in that circle there. Right? For the other circle, the netball circle, they were saying that 50 girls played netball, so if you have an X there, you need a 50 minus X in that system. You can't put a 24 there and a 50 there because you have some girls that are actually involved. Alright, so you have to use X's there. They did tell you that 4 girls don't play either of those 2 sports, so you could put the 4 on the outside already. And then guys, to solve for X, they told you that 58 girls were questioned. Right, so that is the total. So you can just set up a little equation by adding all of these numbers together and the 4, and that will give you the list. Or, what if you exclude the 4? It would equal 34. Right, you can do that because if there are 4 girls on the outside of the circle, there's 38 altogether. There should be 34 in the 2 circles. Okay, so you could do it like that as well. You could leave out the 4, but then your total on this side will just be 34.
When would you have to show us how to calculate it?
The XCRA would have to. You can just write that line in the answer. You don't have to write that little. Okay, so guys, once you know that the X value is 20, meaning 20 girls play on sport, then you can figure out, okay, if this whole circle needs to be 24, that's 20, then I have to have a 4 over there. So guys, what does this mean? How many girls play only hockey, not netball? 4. Alright, so if they're asking for hockey only, which is actually the question in B, you're going to look for the girls that are in the hockey circle, but not the netball circle as well. Alright, so this section here is hockey only. This section, the 10 over here, is netball only. Okay, they didn't ask that, but if they did, that's where you would look. Okay, are we fine with the first one? The probability of the girl chosen at random playing hockey and netball, you're going to take 20, because that is how many of them play hockey and netball, over 58. So that's the total. You have to simplify that, right? 10 over 90. You'll probably get a mark for each, but if you write it down, don't do. But if this is wrong, you'll get 0. Whereas if this is wrong, you'll lose the mark there and then you'll play. Fine. Okay, for B, they ask for hockey only. And guys, again, you don't have to write this little bit here in the front. You can just write the value. Hockey only, 4 over 38, which you can just simplify to 2 over 19. And then I just did this notation for the next one, just to show you guys, if you do this last year, that if there's a dash, that means not. Have you seen that before? So if they're saying, let me just check what was the question here, 39.5, the wording. They were saying, calculate the probability that you play neither hockey nor netball. Alright, so that's not hockey netball, basically. So that would be the 4. I just want you guys to maybe write this down so that you have an example, because they might ask this not in a sentence, but they might say find this, all right, and then they might give you this notation. So that dash basically just means not. So you look at what is in the brackets, it's hockey or netball, right, which is all of this, but then because there's a dash, they're saying not that. Okay, so that's actually just a 4 on the outside. Okay, and then for the last one, calculate the probability that you play hockey or netball. Alright, so that's basically all the girls that do either of those 2 sports. Okay, so are we fine with that being 34? of the 38, right? Because 4 of them don't say either, so 34 of them do say coffee 184. So that's 34 over 38, and then we simplify it to get 70 for the night. Any questions on this one? Okay, 11 was similar. You had to do basically the same thing. It was about newspaper readers. So they said about that glare there, 200 newspaper readers. I just wanted it. Okay, so guys, when you are looking through this question, you need to see, okay, they're talking about two different things here, the business section and then the back page sport. So I used a B, and then I used an SP for sport. I just didn't want to use S again because S is perfect. Okay, so just check, you mustn't have an S here on the outside and an X on the inside. Okay, so I just use an SP. So they were saying 200 readers were asked if they read the business section or the sport. 85 said they read the business section. So that means that the whole business circle must be 85. Okay. 180 said they read the back page sport. So the whole sport circle must be 180. And then 15 said that they read neither of these sections. So the 15 must be there on the outside. If you can't do a Venn diagram at all, at least put the 15 on the outside, you get a mark for that. Okay, you basically are getting 1 mark for each value here. So when we're marking this, we'll give you a mark for the 5, a mark for the 80, a mark for the 100, and a mark for the 15. And if you had to do some calculations here, you will get 2 marks here as well. You know, I think wasn't a draw a Venn diagram. And then you always have to put the answer in. So that on that note, Maxine is asking, do you always have to put the actual values in? If you put the X and stuff in, you need to have both. Okay. So you need to show me your working in terms of X. Please don't like erase these X's because we do actually look at that. Okay, maybe you made a mistake here, like if you wrote 80 minus X by accident, then I need to be able to see what you did. Okay. So you need to make sure that when you're drawing your Venn diagram, that you have space for your X stuff and for the actual value. Okay. So you do the X stuff first, and then once you've calculated what X is, then you fall in the actual number. All right, so now it says again they didn't tell us how many we got, right? So again we must make that X. 85 play, not play, sorry, 85 read the or read the whatever business section. So that whole circle must be 85. So if that's X, that must be 85 minus X. The sport circle must be 180. So that's X, that must be 180 minus X. And then I just set up my equation so that I can solve for X. Set up my whole equation so that I can solve for X, and then I got that X was 8. Okay, they did ask some questions. So they said for B, the probability that a randomly chosen reader involved in the survey reads the back page sport but not the business section. So that's what I wrote here, sport and not business. So if we're looking at our Venn diagram, we agree that that's 100 people. Right? In the sport circle but not overlapping with business. So that's 100 of the 200 people, so that's 12. And then for the second question was saying how many or what's the probability that they read both the business section and the sport section. So that is the overlap there, which is 8. Now guys, if you made a mistake here in calculating X, you'll obviously see it further down. Unless your mistake was like very clearly a mistake. So say for example, you got that X is -10, then we're not going to see it, right? Because then we're going to say you should have realized that you can't have -10. So if your mistake is something that is obviously a mistake, then you need to go redo your calculation. Okay, but if you got like a 50 for X, that's fine. It's not even believable, I suppose. So then we'll see anything. Okay, how many people actually got to number 12? Very few of you. All right, so then I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to give you guys some time to do 12 on your own now. I'll put it on the board for you. Number 12 is a 3-circle Venn diagram, guys. So I'll show you what it should look like, something like that, to help you enjoy it. I don't think that's.
Oh, that's a.
Oh, wait. Now, what's the date today? Okay, guys, just quickly make sure that you know that Venn diagram and look for the application of the work for you. For those of you that have already done this one, you can do question 3 of the extend your skills exercise. That's on page 400. So if you've already done number 12 and you feel comfortable with it, then you can go to page 400 and you can do number 3. Another 3-circle Venn diagram. It's like that. Yeah, so guys, you can also put 1 circle at the top and 2 at the bottom. It doesn't matter. So basically, you're gonna have 3 circles that must all overlap with each other. Can we quickly talk about this, guys? What would we say this section is? The shed is everything. That's where all 3 of the circles overlap, right? So that's B and I and G. Okay. What about this section? That's B and G, right? And it includes this section. B and I include and this one is G and I. Okay, but it doesn't include some of the other ones. So what would these close to? This was bold and beautiful. This was one generation, like yeah. So you're gonna put that from the board. I'll put it on the. So guys, if they are telling you that like 25 people work in bingo and generation, that section needs to be 25. Okay, in total. If you can do that one, it is more difficult. But check. Guys, always work from the inside out. So if they haven't given you the and, you must make that in. Okay. Then you're gonna work to the other and part, and then you're gonna work to the out. Okay, always from the inside out. Very important. You get so and there's 1 circle. Okay, number 12. I'm putting it on the board.
Up to what?
Number 3. Okay, so they're saying 425 watts B only. Guys, this section is B only. Alright, this section of the B circle that doesn't overlap with I or G. Yeah, we find that 425. Then they say 22 watts B and G, but not I. So this is B and G over here. This section is B and G, but not I. So that is excluding where it's overlapping with I. Right, so the 22 is supposed to go there. Right, does that make sense? B and G is this section, but not I, so that excludes I. Okay, so ignore my X for now. I put that X in front of because I was like, okay, obviously I have to make that X. But then I looked at the next one. For the next section, they say 58, watch G and B. Isn't that this whole section? G and B is 58. Right? So that section is B and G. So that whole section is supposed to be 58. What do we already have in that section? 22. So what is this thing supposed to be? What's 58 minus 22? 36 actually. Okay. So you actually didn't have to use an X for this one. So I'm going to put this one in blue. What did it say? 36. I'm going to write it on the side, guys. I'm going to write how I got this. So you can also write it on the side if you want to. Let me just fix this. So for B and I and G, to get that value, we did 58 minus 22, and that was equal to 36. If they didn't give us that piece of information, we would have had to use an eight. Okay, we'll do more examples. Don't worry, I'll see if I can find something more with like different information. That would be right. But does that make sense, guys? So they told you the B and G, but then they also told you the B and G, but not I. So you could take the total for B and G minus the 22, the part that gives into I. Okay, yeah.
And then to get the I and the got
Mm-hmm.
you subtract because there's the 86 minus
Yes.
86 minus 6. And
All right, let's look at the rates quickly. Sorry, maybe I'm going to answer your question now while I'm going through it. Okay, I'm just going to go through the rest, guys. So now, let's see. It is quite useful. Obviously, these are now in your books. And sorry, I took the picture and I didn't really care about how the page was laid out. So it looks a bit funny. But it would be nice in a test or exam if they'd given you a whole bunch of items that you tick off the ones that you've already filled in. Okay, just to keep track of what's going on. Obviously, it's in your textbook now, it's a bit more difficult. But let's see, do we have other and values? There, 86, watch I and G. Okay, so that means I and G is this section, right? That is I and G. That whole section is supposed to be 86, but what do we already have in here? 36. So what would that section be? 50, okay? Both of these parts should add up to 86. So that is supposed to be 50. Okay, so now we can take that one off. Did they tell us anything about I and B? No, they didn't. Okay, let's see if we can pull other stuff in for now because they have given us more information. 503 regularly watched B. Let's see if we can pull that in. 503 watched B. So that means that the whole B circle should be equal to 503. Right? So that is how we're going to allow us to calculate that value, guys. Right? So we're going to take this whole circle must be 503. So we're going to take 503 minus 425 minus 22 minus 36. And that will give us that value. Has anyone worked that out? What is that?
20.
Okay, if you want to, and if you have space, you can maybe just do a little arrow and just put there, this was 503 minus 425 minus 36 minus 22. Oh, sorry, that's in that name. I'm not going to give you a mark for doing a little arrow and writing. That's not good. Okay, next up, let's see. Did they tell us how many people watched I in total? Just take this off. 670. Okay, so now I can use that 670 to calculate this amount. All right, so 670 minus 20 minus 35 minus 50. Sorry, 36 minus 50. 564. Thank you. And then we can do the same with G. They told us that. Oh, yes, I see. They didn't actually tell us how many people watched generations in total, but we do have the actual total of the number of people that answered, and we have all the other values. All right. So now to get that value there, we can say 1523 minus all of the numbers that are in there. Okay, what is that? Has anyone done that? 371. Okay, so guys, it's almost like a puzzle that's building, hey? You kind of are needing to check where the gaps are and how can you work them out. I quite enjoy these types of questions. I think it's quite fun figuring it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I will find that one. Guys, I'm going to put the probability questions up quickly, so just make sure that you have this copied down, or take a picture of it quickly if you haven't copied it down yet, because I want you to do the actual probability questions on your own, the questions that are based on this Venn diagram. Okay, we've just solving the Venn diagram, we still have to answer the probability questions. Just make sure, take a picture, you have that. I'm going to take it down now. Okay, okay. All right, guys, there are 4 probability questions. We'll just chat about each and don't worry about these. Can write down some ideas. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that quickly. Go, go, go. You wasted time already. Page 400, number 3. Really, they will give you different. I think it is quite difficult if the middle one is X. And it's more different. Guys, if you're done with these questions, you're doing the on page 400. Page 400, you're doing number 3. So if you finish these ones, page 400, number 3.